And we're on. Are we on? Yes, we're on. Welcome everyone to Mass Effect, and this time we are going to do a lore/codex session. In those sessions, you just grab something to eat or to drink, or just sit down, relax, and enjoy some lore. There won't be any gameplay progress, nor story progress. So if you want that, you can skip this video. In this video, we will just go through entries from the Codex, comment on them, talk a bit about them, and yeah, that's it. So yeah, let's just get started. First, I would like to go to a place calmer, quieter. I don't want the flux music in the background. Maybe I go to the Presidium. Let's go to Citadel Tower. Okay, this is a calm place near in the garden. Alright, so here we go.
The Asari were the first species to discover the Citadel. When the Solarians arrived, it was the Asari who proposed the establishment of the Citadel Council to maintain peace throughout the galaxy. Since then, the Asari have served as the mediators and centrists of the Council. An all-female race, the Asari reproduce through a form of parthenogenesis. They can attune their nervous system to that of another individual of any gender and of any species to reproduce. This capability has led to the unseemly and inaccurate rumors about Asari promiscuity. Asari can live for over 1,000 years, passing through 3 stages of life. In the maiden stage, they wander restlessly, seeking new knowledge and experience. When the matron stage begins, they meld with interesting partners to produce their offspring. This ends when they reach the matriarch stage, where they assume the roles of leaders and counselors.
Okay, so the Asaris, they are one of my favorite biologically different species. The idea of a Asari is that when they reproduce, they just can reproduce with any other species, and the way they reproduce is not through normal sexual intercourse, but through the mind. So it's like they connect their mind to the mind of the other person they are having this intercourse with, and this would create a DNA shuffling. So their DNA. The Asari DNA has a lot of sleeping genes, or like the human DNA has 2 genes for each trait, maybe like one that is dominant, one that is recessive, while the Asari has a lot of them, a lot of genes, and when they do that mind intercourse, mind sex in a way, what happens is that their DNA is taken and it's shuffled based on whatever the species or the person that they are mating with. They can mate with any species, and each species will have some sort, consider it like a fingerprint or a hashing, like a hashing function. Each species would hash their DNA, the Asari DNA, in a way to be slightly different. And this is what creates pregnancy. She would become pregnant with a new offspring that will become an Asari also. So Asaris will only breed Asaris, but the father or the mother can be of any species. It's just a matter of someone to shuffle the DNA inside them, and the connection is all mental. Of course, there are some body friction, body connection, but the whole process is all mental. And this was really awesome. I really loved this concept, And another concept is that they are all considered as female because they have some female traits. But the thing is, each species would see them attractive by their own species standards. So we see them as human-looking females, because this is what looks attractive to us. Other species would, like the Turian, would see them as Turian. The Alcor would see them as Alcors, as attractive Alcors, things like that. So they are very they need other species to breed in a way, and they are the mating process is very cool to follow on it. So and you can have mothers, like you can have like an Asari can be the mother or a father. Like she would get pregnant every time, but she can mate with both gender, female, males, or even a gender. I don't know what the word. The one where they don't have genders or they have both gender. They can mate with any. It's just a matter of hashing this DNA to create a new unique DNA for the kids. Now that's how they breed. They also talked about they were the first the species to discover the citadel, and they are very well, maybe that comes later, but they are very good with biotics, and we will understand why later. They live over 1,000 years, so they have time. That's why they are wise and like wiser than other creatures. They have long time, but usually when you live such a long time, like elves in Lord of the Ring, for example, you are not in a hurry to do something. Like you take your time, you relax. It kind of get lazy, on the lazy side, and unless you are pushed or forced to do something, you just go lazy. And this is this caused some cultural rules in the Asari that you are expected to do certain stuff at certain things in your life. Otherwise, you say, okay, later I have 1,000 years to live. So you start with the maiden stage. This is around like 200 to 300 years. In this maiden stage, all you have to do is to wander, seeking knowledge, seeking experience. Like this is where you build your character, you build your experience, you build your expertise, you build a lot of things. Like it could go up to 500 years if you want. After that, you become in the meld. You become like to meld with ancestors. This is where you start considering marrying, getting children's, like the settling down in a way. You built your experience. It's some sort like a humans, but it's more stretched throughout 1,000 years over instead of just small chunks of like 30 years, like in human terms in a way. And at the later stage, you become a matriarch. This is the highest rank in Asari. Your like biotic abilities are through the roof, and this is where people start looking for your wisdom, for your advice, and all of this. Just a second, I need to make sure that I'm actually recording using the right microphone. Like last time I was recording and it was coming from the camera. So yeah, audio. Yeah, my Yeti is recording. Cool. So yeah, this was what happened? Why did it go? Why did it minimize? Just a second, let me maximize it. Okay. Alright, back to the Codex. That was the Asari, and we will know more about them later on.
The Asari were the second species to join the Citadel. The Solarians are warm-blooded amphibians with a hyperactive metabolism. Solarians think fast, talk fast, and move fast. To Solarians, other species seem sluggish and dull-witted. Unfortunately, their metabolic speed leaves them with a relatively short lifespan. Solarians over the age of 40 are a rarity. The Solarians were responsible for advancing the development of the primitive Krogan species to use as soldiers during the Rachni Wars. They were also behind the creation of the genophage bioweapon the Turians used to quell the Krogan rebellions several centuries later. Solarians are known for their observational capability and non-linear thinking. This manifests as an aptitude for research and espionage. They are constantly experimenting and inventing, and it is generally accepted that they always know more than they are letting on.
Okay, so the Solarian were the second species to reach the Citadel. They live shortly, they live like 40 years, and this is why they are very in a hurry to finish stuff, to do stuff. And this is because of their metabolism. It's very fast, they can think fast, act fast, work fast, they have high reflex, but they only live 40 years. However, due to their very high metabolism and intelligence, they are like the scientists in a way of the galaxy. They are rarely like the heavy bruisers. They just they are good with infiltrations, with espionage, research. Mostly scientists. Mostly all of them are scientists. They are responsible for the genophage and the uprising of the Krogan, which we'll learn later. But Solarian are mostly amphibian, so they can live both in the underwater and outside water. Mostly, like more than other species. And yeah, nothing much to say about Solarians. They used to lick their eyeballs.
Roughly 1,200 years ago, the Turians were invited to join the Citadel Council to fulfill the role of galactic peacekeepers. The Turians have the largest fleet in Citadel space, and they make up the single largest portion of the Council's military forces. As their territory and influence has spread, the Turians have come to rely on the Solarians for military intelligence and the Asari for diplomacy. Despite a somewhat colonial attitude towards the rest of the galaxy, the ruling hierarchy understands they would lose more than they would gain if the other two races were ever removed. Turians come from an autocratic society that values discipline and possesses a strong sense of personal and collective honor. There is lingering animosity between Turians and humans over the First Contact War of 2157, which is known as the Relay 314 incident to the Turians. Officially, however, the two species are allies, and they enjoy civil, if cool, diplomatic relations.
Yeah, so nothing much to say about the Turians. They are kind of like humans, but more army discipline related. Like they have this hierarchy. They are all soldiers. They are all trained. It's rare to see like a Turian scientist. While you can see a lot of Solarian and Asari scientists, they are mostly strategic in war, in conquer. In an autocratic society. They were the first contact with the humans. When the humans reached the mass relay in the solar system, the first contact were the Turians, and yeah, there was some sort of a war because the Turians are like, this is what happened when a higher, more advanced civilization meets a lower advanced civilization, like the British did with the Native Americans and stuff like that. At first you will just go into war and try to conquer them. However, luckily for humans, this wasn't the case because there was some outside interference that we will hear about later. Turian-wise, they have this armor plate of a face, like a very good defensive bone. Their bone is outside their face in a way to protect them, and they have 3 fingers that it allows them to better hold their weapons. So yeah, nothing much to say here.
"50,000 years ago, the Protheans were the only spacefaring species in the galaxy. They vanished in a swift galactic extinction. Only the legacy of their empire remains. They are believed to have built the mass relays and the Citadel, which have allowed numerous species to explore and expand throughout the galaxy. Prothean ruins are found on worlds across the galaxy. While surprisingly intact for their age, functioning examples of Prothean paleotechnology are rare. Time and generations of looters have picked their dead cities and derelict stations clean. Some believe the Protheans meddled in the evolution of younger races. The Hanar homeworld of Kajay, for example, shows clear evidence of former Prothean occupation. The presence of a former Prothean observation post on Mars has caused a rebirth of interventionary evolutionists among humans. These individuals believe the god myths of ancient civilizations are misremembered encounters with aliens.
The Protheans, there's a shroud of mystery around them because they were like ruling the galaxy, and suddenly they disappeared 50,000 years ago, and they only left some beacons and technology around, and those technologies are what helped other species to get to space travel very faster than usual, and ascend. Humans found one on Mars, and this is where they discovered the Mass Effect and the faster than light travel. There are many rumors about Protheans. They even say, like they said, Hanars believe that Prothean interfered in the genetic and biologic evolution of some of the species. It's very big debate. Also, all the talk about gods and religion, some people take them back to the Protheans because some of the drawings and some of the ancient literature or remnant of ancient times indicate that there might be Prothean interference in other species. It's also believed that the Protheans are the one who built the citadel and the ones that built the mass relay, and they are like very advanced. They were way more advanced than we are, and they also believe that there are another species, a Reaper, that we will probably go through later on, that they wiped them out and then disappeared. But that's all they know. Like, the Prothean disappeared 50,000 years ago. There's lots of evidence to that, but other than that, it's just speculation.
Though now extinct, the Therachni once threatened every species in Citadel space. Over 2,000 years ago, explorers foolishly opened a mass relay to a previously unknown system and encountered something never seen before or since, a species of spacefaring insects guided by a hive mind intelligence. Unfortunately, the Therachni were not peaceful, and the galaxy was plunged into a series of conflicts known as the Therachni Wars. Attempts to negotiate were futile, as it was impossible to make contact with the hive queens that guided the race from beneath the surface of their toxic home world. The emergence of the Krogan ended the Therachni Wars. Bred to survive the harshest environments, the Krogan were able to strike at the queens in their lairs and reclaim conquered Council worlds. But when Krogan fleets pressed them back to their homeworld, the Therachni refused to surrender, and the Krogan eradicated them from the galaxy. In the early 2160s, the Krogan evolved in a hostile and vicious environment. Until the invention of gunpowder weapons, eaten by predators was still the #1 cause of Krogan fatalities. Afterwards, it was death by gunshot. When the Solarians discovered them, the Krogan were a brutal, primitive species, struggling to survive a self-inflicted nuclear winter. The Solarians culturally uplifted them, teaching them to use and build modern technology, so they could serve as soldiers in the Therachni War. Liberated from the harsh conditions of their homeworld, the quick-breeding Krogan experienced an unprecedented population explosion. They began to colonize nearby worlds. Even though these worlds were already inhabited, the Krogan rebellions lasted nearly a century, only ending when the Turians unleashed the genophage, a Solarian-developed bioweapon that crushed all Krogan resistance. The genophage makes only 1 in 1,000 pregnancies viable, and today the Krogan are a slowly dying breed. Understandably, the Krogan harbor a grudge against all other species, especially the Turians.
Okay, I intentionally played the Krogan and the Rachni back to back because they are a bit connected. So the Rachni are a species of insects. They have like this hive mind where you have the queen that controls all the other insects. They were relatively peaceful, but then when they were discovered through the mass relay, the Rachni became very aggressive and waged war against all other species, as known as the Rachni War, and they were winning actually. But then the Solarians discovered the Krogan. The Krogan were like some sort of a. They didn't have yet space flight. They were like barbarians, and they were living on a planet that is completely waged by war and conflict and nuclear assaults and all of those. The Solarians uplifted them, which means gave them space travel, gave them technology, gave them weapons, in order to go fight the Rachni. And the Krogan actually fought the Rachni on their own and won the battle and exterminated all the Rachni. But then like the Krogan began to breed on a very high fast level and colonize, because like they lay thousands of eggs. Sorry. So when they were breeding and very fast, other and colonizing and expanded very fast, the council and the other species started to get worried as usual, because if they can outrun the galaxy, and started enforcing rules on them that you can't do this, you can't do that. And the Krogan, being like barbarian war-driven species, they didn't like that, and they knew that they can easily crush all other species, so they waged that war against the Turians, against other species. And the way that war was stopped, and like the Krogan almost would have went and wipe out all other species, is by the creation of the genophage. It's a Solarian created. This is like some sort of a virus disease that affects Krogan and impact their fertility. So every like 1 in a 1,000 pregnancy produce a Krogan. Like you have one, and each pregnancy has countless eggs, but all of them die except like 1 every 1,000, which completely crushed the Krogan. They can no longer reproduce, and their morale went away, and it stopped the war. The Krogan still live in genophage, though now in peace, but their numbers are going down because simply like they are still killing each other, they are still fighting each other, and they are still just barbarians in a way. And they hold a huge grudge on the Solarians and the Turians, because the Solarians created the genophage, the Turians distributed it. Here they say only Turian. No, they hate Solarians way more than Turians because they created the genophage. So yeah, this is the Rachni. Now, here a note, and this is one of an important law in the universe I am writing. Yes, I'm writing a universe. The Solarian uplifted the Krogan before they were ready, before their culture is ready. And this is one of the biggest way to destroy a culture, is to give a technology they are not ready for. So, for example, if you give nuclear weapons to cavemen or to the Roman Empire, we would have been destroyed. Like even now, our culture is not ready for the nuclear weapon. Also, I noticed I'm shouting, so because I get excited talking about this, so I'll reduce my voice a bit. So even now, our culture is not ready for nuclear weapon. For example, we are kind of did some law for them. So imagine you give technology, space travel, and to a culture that is not ready, it will destroy itself or destroy you in the process. And this is one of the laws in my universe, is that you should never, like, no species should make contact with until they discover space travel on their own. Like, they have to discover space travel before you make contact with it. Otherwise you would be uplifting them in a very bad way. You would be giving them technology they are not ready for it. Their culture need to be ready for it, and this is what happened with the Krogan. The Solarian gave them technology and weapons that they are not ready for at all, and while they fought the war because they know how to do that, they were not ready to start colonizing with in a way, like they started colonizing and wants to dominate everything because that's how they think. They are not ready for it. Yeah. Now I talk like I don't like the Krogan. On the contrary, Krogans are some of my favorite species. They are just stubborn. They are just war-driven, and they are just they have the genophage. They hate everyone because of it. So yeah, let's we're done with extinct race. Let's go to the non-council races.
In the early 2160s, the Alliance began aggressive colonization of worlds in the Skyllian Verge, much to the dismay of the Batarians, who had been developing the region for several decades. In 2171, the Batarians petitioned the Council to declare the Verge a zone of Batarian interest. The Council refused, however, declaring unsettled worlds in the region open to human colonization. In protest, the Batarians closed their Citadel embassy and severed official diplomatic relations with the Council, effectively becoming a rogue state. They instigated a proxy war in the Verge by funneling money and weapons to criminal organizations, urging them to strike at human colonies. Hostilities peaked with the Skyllian Blitz of 2176, an attack on the human capital of Elysium by Batarian-funded pirates and slavers. In 2178, the Alliance retaliated with a crushing assault on the moon of Torfin, long used as a staging base by Batarian-backed criminals. In the aftermath, the Batarians retreated into their own systems and are now rarely seen in Citadel space.
Yeah, so the Batarians, there was some conflict with the humans about colonization, and the Council signed it with the humans. I don't know why. And because they are afraid of Batarians. The thing with Batarians is that their culture is very slave-driven, is very pirate-driven. So yeah, the Council sided with the human, fearing Batarian, that they didn't want to give Batarian more power. And this created a huge backlash. The Batarian stopped stopped mingling with other species and hated the human more than others, and they started a war on humans, but the humans were already powerful enough to retaliate and defeat them. So the Batarian were defeated, and they now resort to slave trades, pirating, illegal activities. It's rare to see any Batarian that doesn't do that. Oh yeah, that's the Batarians.
The Alcor are a Citadel species native to the high-gravity world Dakuna. They are massive creatures, standing on 4 muscular legs for increased stability. Alcor move slowly, an evolved response to an environment where a fall can be lethal. This has colored their psychology, making them deliberate and conservative. Alcor's speech is ponderous and monotone. Among themselves, scent, slight movements, and sub-vocalized infrasound convey shades of meaning that make a human smile seem as subtle as a fireworks display. Since their subtlety can lead to misunderstandings with other species, the Alcor often go out of their way to clarify when they are being sarcastic, amused, or angry. Dakuna's high gravity impedes mountain formation. Most of the world consists of flat, open plains, which prehistoric Alcor wandered across in small family bands. Modern Alcor still prefer open sky, and can become restless and uncomfortable on long starship journeys.
The Alcor, I love this species so much. It has so many biological ideas, so many biological concepts. That's so. Let's talk about them. So the Alcors, my favorite thing about them is that when talking with each other, the way they communicate is through smell, through movement, through colors, and this convey emotions, meaning, context, all of this, not just words. So this is completely lost when they are talking with other species, and because of that due to lots of misunderstanding, and it was very hard to communicate with them without emotion, without understanding what they are saying or emotionally how they are involved. They developed a way to convey their feeling by simply like saying what they are feeling before saying the word. So for example, I say happily, welcome human, or with great sadness, I want to my mother is dead, or whatever. So it's like they always say what they feel before it. That way other species would know what, like, some of the emotion they are feeling. Of course this is not nearly enough, but this is a way that they did to improve the communication with other species, and I really love this concept, this idea, this psychology. Yeah, so since they are huge, and falling down would be very devastating to them, they are very slow. They talk slowly, walk slowly, and consider a lot before doing something. They are very resistant to change, like they need to really assess it and consider it before they would accept doing the change. This makes them a bit wiser because they think a lot before acting, but also make them a little bit slow in a way that they can't act fast to react to things that are happening. And I incredibly highly recommend to read one of the books related to Mass Effect on Andromeda, which has an Alcor as a main character, and it's really awesome. Anyway, that was Alcor. Now I think I need to turn on the light because it's getting dark outside. So let me see. Just a second. Okay, maybe I'll stop this video here and you can check the next video for the rest if you are still interested. So yeah, let's do that. Wise out.